Alright, so this is a brief lesson on section 6.6. I'm just going to tell you about general form and standard form. Let's first of all review point-slope form. We just took a look at, right? Point-slope form, and that is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So that's a form of a line where you have a point with the coordinates x1, y1 inserted into that equation, and then this is your slope. Okay? An example of that would be y minus 5 equals 3 times x plus 1. That's an example. Our slope here is what? Shout it out. 3. Yeah, really easy. Just look at this number right here. What's the point? What's one of the points on the line here that we know from this equation?
5.
Okay, the x value is negative 1, and the y value is negative or positive? It is positive 5, that's right. So negative 1 is always the opposite sign. Awesome. Okay, slope y-intercept form. That's the other one that we've talked about a lot. And that form is y equals mx plus b, where m is still the slope and b is the what? Y-intercept. That's right. So an example of this would be y equals negative 4 over 7 x minus 1. The slope here is, what is it? Yeah, it's the number in front of the x, and the intercept, y-intercept, is negative 1. It's the same sign here. Okay, so let's get to it. Standard form. Okay, so standard form, if you check your textbook out, oops. Okay, so if you get your textbook out, it's kind of hidden in here what standard form looks like. Okay, so here's a line, and here is a form of a line where the x and the y are on the same side of the equation. Okay, we haven't had that yet. So this right here, and this is on page 378. Page 378. Okay, it's in 6.6, but it's on page 378. So look at, they tell you right here, and again, it's kind of hidden in the text, so that's why I want to point it out. But this equation is written in standard form. This is standard form. The coefficients and the constant terms are integers. The x and y terms are on the left side, so they're on the same side, and that is the left side. And the constant term is on the right side. Okay? So this is standard form. So let's talk about standard form first. Okay, we'll do the new ones in blue. So standard form would be ax plus by equals c. So that's the way they sort of have that in the book. And so you have x and y on the left side, and c, the constant, is on the right side. So an example would be 3x minus 5y equals negative 10, where your a value is 3, your b value is negative 5, and your c value is negative 10. Okay? Now this doesn't give you the slope. It doesn't give you an intercept or a point. But what this does is just it gives you just a general description of the line. And like I say, if you plug an x value in, you need to find a y value here that makes this equation true. The other two, these ones, are a little bit more commonly used because they give you direct information about the graph. This one, not so direct, really. Okay? But we still need to know about these. So finally, general form is very similar to standard form. A general form is where all of the values, all of the terms, are on the left side. Okay? And the one stipulation, the one extra thing, is that this x term has to be positive. So notice that b and c could be negative, but a has to be positive. Okay? So this is the general form of the equation of a line. So general form is ax plus y plus c equals 0. So it always equals 0. Always equals 0 because if there's a constant, it's on the same side as the x and y terms. And this has to be a positive whole number. Okay, so these can be, b and c can be integers. That means they can be positive or negative. And not fractions. So if you have a fraction, that's not in general form. And if this is negative, it's not in general form. And I don't think it says, but I believe that a being positive really applies to the standard form as well. So you can put a little note here. This should be positive as well. Positive. And b and c are also integers. So let's just do a quick example here. Converting to general form, okay? So I have y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2, and I want to put that into this new form that we're learning, the general form. Okay? So how we would do this is I realize that I have to have all the terms on the left side of the equation. So let's just do that. So I'm going to get this one over to the other side. That means I'm going to add 1/2 x to both sides. So I've got 1/2 x, and I've got plus y is still over there, and I've got this 2 still over here. Am I done? Well, this is standard form, or is it? Oh, it's not quite standard form, so we won't write that down just yet. Not quite standard form. And why is it not standard form? Because there's a fraction here, that's right. So how do we, it doesn't matter what you do first, okay? You could move this 2 over to the left side with all the rest of them and make that a negative 2 on the other side. And the one final step then is to make this a term, it's already positive, but it's not a whole number, is it? So I have to make this a whole number. Now if you want to make this a whole number, you can. And what you ought to remember is that you can multiply every term on both sides of an equation by any value, and it won't change the equation. All it will do is change the look of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply by whatever this number is in the denominator of the fraction. That means every single term I'm going to multiply by. So this term, this one, and even the 0. And so what this is going to happen, 2 times 1/2 is plain old x. 2 times y, 2y. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And 2 times 0 is still 0. So this is now in general form. Okay? Everything is on the left side of the equation. We have 0 on the right. And the x term is positive, and the coefficient is a whole number there. Okay?